I saw an interview where it said you and John are aligned, and you guys have decided together to allow for the UFC to tell you what you're doing. Is that true?
Nah, man, John's retired. What are we talking about, guys?
What do you mean?
John, you guys don't follow John on social media?
I don't follow him on social media. He said that.
No, me too, actually. Me too. But the guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career. We all know. We know John's a religious man, so I want to say God bless him moving forward in what he does with his life and his career. And you know, we move on. We move on. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm ready to take on all comers, get this division moving again. Us guys have been waiting around too long. You know, the contenders are getting sick of it. Everybody's getting sick of it. Even the fans are getting sick of this stuff. So John's retired, and it's time that we move on.
Heavyweight division take the title away from him.
John Jones called us last night and retired. John Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
Longtime fans had been guessing that John Jones was about to retire for a long time. He dodged straight to the point questions regarding his return to the octagon for months. Interviews, press conferences, and social media encounters all seemed like smoke and mirrors, and MMA fans got impatient. Silence was deafening, particularly in light of the hype surrounding a likely bout against Tom Aspinall. Most set their minds working, assuming Jones was taking his time to slowly retire. With mounting pressure, rumors of retirement intensified into a thunderous roar throughout the MMA world.
Can you settle it once and all for fans? They want to know, are you retired or not?
We're not doing that.
Man.
We're not doing that right now. Be sure to check out Dirty Boxing 2 tomorrow night.
Because I think you'll be back. What's the magic number to get you back?
If you come to Dirty Boxing, you'll find out.
You'll find out. All right, cool.
Finally, John Jones spoke out, not at a press conference, not in an interview, but through a tweet that shocked the MMA community. He was retiring. The tweet was concise, almost flippant for a fighter of his stature. Fans were polarized. Some felt satisfied, others felt robbed. All that hype after months, and it came to this in a tweet. The timing also did not sit well, particularly with Aspinall in top spot. But in any case, Jones had said his piece. The king was abdicating, and pandemonium ensued. The president of the UFC, Dana White, finally made official what fans dreaded. John Jones was indeed retired. Dana did not appear too distraught about it, reading the news out in his characteristic bluntness. But the revelation cut deep. The heavyweight division was already in limbo, and this confirmation left things up in the air. No goodbye ceremony, no grand send-off, just a straight-up declaration. For a fighter who stood as the sport's most dominant force, the departure seemed unceremonious. Dana professed the UFC would continue on, but many felt the chapter hadn't quite closed.
Heavyweight division take the title away from him.
John Jones called us last night and retired. John Jones is officially retired. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion of the UFC.
One of the loudest was Daniel Cormier. Seething visibly, DC didn't pull any punches. He accused Jon Jones of running away from an actual challenge. He said Jones had ducked Aspinall on purpose, that this retirement was a carefully thought out escape, not an impulsive decision. DC's history with Jones made his outrage personal. He wasn't just commenting, he was ranting. By his account, Jones never had any plans to defend his title again and misled the UFC and fans for far too long. His bluntness resonated the way many fans felt deep in their hearts.
I didn't think that it was going to happen this fast. I mean, Jones did put out a statement that said, today I'm officially announcing my retirement from the UFC. The decision comes after a lot of reflection, and I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for the journey I've experienced over the years. And boy, what a journey it has been. But here's the deal, guys, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I said, if Jon Jones doesn't fight this guy, Jon Jones quit. If Jon Jones does not fight Tom Aspinall, he quit. Because he will walk away from something that has defined his entire adult life.
DC did not relent. In another interview, he went full on and doubled down. He claimed that he really never thought Jon Jones was going to go out like this. He said it was a disservice to the sport and to Tom Aspinall, who had trained and waited for the fight of a lifetime. Cormier reiterated that despite having all the wars they've had, he had always expected Jones to turn up and fight. But this time, he was actually shocked. The announcement, the timing, and the manner, it all did not sit well with him. He said the fans were entitled to an end battle, not a tweet.
So my first thought, it was like, he actually did it. He actually did it. You know, like, I didn't think that he would walk away. I didn't know that, you know, he would allow for or would be able to handle what comes with making this decision right now in the optics of it, Brett. Do you understand what I'm saying? What it looks like to people. I didn't know that his ego would be able to handle walking away. I figured he would fight based on that, but he didn't, and it's crazy. I said something the other day, Brett, and I don't want this to be like me crapping on Jon Jones, but I said something on my YouTube channel. I said, if Jon Jones doesn't fight this guy, he quit. Right?
He further went on by claiming Jon Jones's retirement proves he never truly intended to fight again. According to Cormier, Jones had been dragging the situation for months with no clear commitment, and this sudden exit only validates what he had suspected all along. He stated that the signs were always there, avoiding questions, staying silent about future plans, and now quietly stepping away. For Cormier, it's not just about walking away from the sport, it's about dodging the real challenges that lay ahead in the heavyweight division.
He talked about fighting Francis Ngannou, but he didn't talk about fighting this guy because he never truly had any intention of fighting this guy. Tom Aspinall was waiting. The UFC was waiting. Everybody's waiting for a decision when in reality, you're the heavyweight champ, you're supposed to fight. You go out there and you do the job.
One of the bravest voices, Chael Sonnen, who had confidently predicted that the fight would take place in November, now found himself in the firing line. He had promised fans repeatedly that the Jones versus Aspinall fight was set in stone. Sonnen spoke on record several times that negotiations were going well and that the UFC was already making promotional preparations. Now that Jones has officially hung up his gloves, many wondered if Sonnen had been lying. Was he deceived? Or was he simply attempting to generate buzz? Regardless, the backlash came quickly and with vengeance.
Whether you're willing, whether you want to do it, or you don't want to do it. And I think that as time goes by, we get luckier and luckier because I think that we as the fans want that fight in New York. We want it in November. I'm confident in telling you it's going to be in New York in November. I'm confident in telling you you're going to get the fight. Just as a whole, I guess that would be more information than you've been given.
Tom Aspinall, to everyone's surprise, seemed ready for this result. On a podcast with Daniel Cormier and Chael Sonnen, Tom matter-of-factly said that the bout with Jon Jones would never materialize. Jones was retired. There was no venom in his tone, only subdued disappointment. Tom had already seemed to accept the reality that fans were just beginning to realize. Whereas Sonnen and DC were attempting to justify all, Tom seemed to be kept on the ground. He was talking like a man who had moved past it and was not concerned about what the UFC or Jones said.
I saw an interview where it said you and Jon are aligned and you guys have decided together to allow for the UFC to tell you what you're doing. Is that true?
No, man, John's retired. What are you talking about, guys?
What do you mean?
John, you guys don't follow John on social media?
I don't follow him on social media. He said that.
No, me too, actually. Me too, but the guy is living his best life. He's had a fantastic career, we all know. We know John's a religious man, so I want to say God bless him moving forward in what he does with his life and his career. And you know, we move on. We move on. I'm the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I'm ready to take on all comers, get this division moving again. Us guys have been waiting around too long. You know, the contenders are getting sick of it. Everybody's getting sick of it. Even the fans are getting sick of this stuff. So John's retired and it's time that we move on.
In another shock moment, Tom Aspinall sat in with Michael Bisping for an interview and made a comment that was instantly going viral. He said, "I'll retire Jon Jones without even throwing a punch." It was a powerful message, not of arrogance, but frustration. Tom felt robbed of a moment that would define his career. He didn't get to test himself against the so-called greatest of all time. Instead, he was left to watch the opportunity fade into the distance. Aspinall's tone was serene, but laced with the bite of a warrior who has been denied combat.
Since I won that fight, he's gone completely quiet, and he'll continue to go completely quiet about me until he retires, because there's no way on earth that he's going to fight me. Not a chance. I will retire Jon Jones without even fighting him.
Ariel Helwani quickly followed up, providing his opinion on the situation in his podcast. He exposed that there were truly no alternative plans the UFC had for Tom Aspinall. There were no backup fights scheduled, no interim title defenses scheduled, nothing, Helwani said. He chastised the organization for leaving one of their quickest rising stars hanging at the height of his career. Ariel's tone was biting, and to the point, Tom was kept in the dark, expecting a ghost. Viewers connected with that opinion, seeing how much time had been lost.
Jon Jones is retired. He called us last night. He is no longer the UFC heavyweight champion. Tom Aspinall is the heavyweight champion. He is then asked in a subsequent question, all right, well, who is Tom going to fight? He said, oh, Tom's coming to International Fight Week. We're going to sit with him. You know, we got the meetings, all this stuff. They don't even have that ready. Did they tell Tom even before all of this?
Ariel did not stop there. He went on to say the UFC owed Aspinall more than a check. He said there needed to be a public ceremony, a press conference, something to commend Tom for being benched at the most pivotal point in his career. What happened to Aspinall wasn't just unlucky, it was disrespectful, Helwani said. He urged the UFC to recognize that this was a mistake and to do right by their man. The tone shifted from commentary to advocacy as Ariel made explicit Tom Aspinall was better than this.
The fact that the illustrious career of Jon Jones, the supposed greatest of all time, ends at a post-fight press conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, is a joke. Is an absolute joke. I'm sorry, but this is an absolute joke. Tom Aspinall is going to Las Vegas. At the very least, present him the title. At the very least, do something to make it up for this guy who has been sitting there watching his career just waste away for the past 7 months. Oh, by the way, his last fight was almost a year ago, 11 months. Do something. This is the way it happens. This is the way it happens. Something that could have happened at the post-fight press conference in New York. Jon Jones never wanted to take this fight. And anyone who tells you otherwise is not telling you the truth.
Ariel concluded his analysis with a scathing remark. This is as shameful as it gets. Those few words rang across the MMA universe. From Reddit users to ESPN pundits, everyone started invoking that phrase. The UFC had built its reputation on great moments and dignified send-offs. This question mark, this was a betrayal. No farewell, no passing of the torch ceremony. Simply a silent departure and a huge talent left high and dry. As more came to light, it was obvious. This was not about Jones retiring. This was about a system letting down a rising fighter.
Dana White told us a couple of weeks ago. What did he say? Jon Jones agreed. But I told you all, he wasn't telling you the real story. He wasn't telling you the full story. The full story was he agreed and then he reneged. Dana White guaranteed this fight would happen. He guaranteed it would happen as recently as a couple of weeks ago. It was already not a thing. The way in which this has been handled has not been great. And the fact that Tom Aspinall, at the very least, couldn't get some sort of, oh, here's the belt, here's the ceremony, here's your fight, here's your date. is shameful.
More fuel for the fire was piled on by Rampage Jackson, who learned of the retirement live on Aiden Ross's stream. His response was unbridled. Rampage stated what many of us were thinking. John's scared. It wasn't said with spite, but with the wisdom of a veteran. He predicted that Jones didn't want to take on a fighter like Aspinall, who's quicker, younger, and very talented. Rampage's sentiments went viral on social media, adding yet another huge name to the roster of folks blasting how this all went down. Jones's legacy, previously unassailable, now seemed up for debate.
How do you feel about John Jones retiring?
Oh, yep. Zoom in on him.
Man, that's fucked up, though. He should have fought Aspinall.
I agree.
I think John would have beat him.
So why do you think it didn't happen? The deal went through. The money he wanted.
Nigga probably scared. You know what I'm saying? If the deal went through, how much money was it though?
And to complicate things further, fans started asking the question on everyone's mind. What about Francis Ngannou? Francis had already made it clear he wanted to return to the UFC to fight John Jones. Hope briefly rose that perhaps that super fight could now become the center of attention, but Dana White quickly put that to bed, saying there were no negotiations, no discussions, and that Ngannou would not be coming back. That knockout knocked out any hopes fans had of salvaging something monumental from this fold. It was as if all the doors were shut and none of them would ever open again.
One thing I've learned over the years about Francis doesn't always mean what he says publicly. What he says behind the scenes are different than what he says publicly. I'm not a big fan. I would be shocked if Francis ever came back here on lots of different levels. I'm not a fan, and he doesn't always mean what he says publicly.
And just as people thought it was all done, Daniel Cormier fueled speculation by stating he still thought Jones would return to fight. He said that John lives for legacy and might not want to go out that way. In the words of DC, the book is not closed. If it's for money, legacy, or pride, Cormier intimated that Jones may walk back into the octagon one last time. But now fans are doubters. After all this give and take, will John come back? Or has he already bid adieu for good?
You ever think he fights again? Because I do. I think he fights again. What do you think?
I do. And I think that's going to be another misstep. That's another misstep. You know, this puts the UFC in a very, very interesting situation. Because Tom Aspinall can go fight somebody else. And imagine if he loses to Cyril Gane. Then what? Then what? Because Cyril Gane's good. He's the man. John wiped them out. How are you, John Jones, at 38 years old, watching Cyril Gane as the heavyweight champ going, this took me 1 minute and 20 seconds last time. I can go do it again and not have to deal with the unknown. Then that would just hurt more.
If you like this analysis, be sure to click that like button, subscribe to more in-your-face MMA videos, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Let us know in the comments, do you believe John Jones is actually done? Or is this all just the calm before another storm?